Randy, I'm not even like kissing your ass when I say this. You have really good movie picks. I probably would have never watched Fletch if it wasn't for you.
Okay, Les and I are right here, and I feel like that was directed at us, but okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, by comparison to the crazy shit that Nick and Les watch.
I was getting ready to say.
I'm not saying it's not
bar.
true, I'm just saying it's rude to say it directly to my face.
Episode 375 of the TV Dudes, recorded March 9th, 2022. Ill-advised plans and other mishaps. This week is full of ill-advised plans and other mishaps. Something like faking a medical breakthrough to become a billionaire, as in the Dropout on Hulu. Pretty much everything Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin have ever done with their lives, and maybe the idea of adapting Tiger King into fiction, as in Joe vs. Carole on Peacock. Becoming a gentleman pirate, like in Our Flag Means Death on HBO Max. Or any number of poor decisions made under stress in Yellowjackets on Showtime. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. Y'all, this is a first for us in a while. We're going. This show, Yellowjackets, has been done for a while, but we're going back to it because everybody kept talking it up. I finally binged through it, and I was like, "Oh, we should watch this." And then you guys all binged through it, and so we're gonna catch up on a full season of TV that we mostly let go. I wasn't on the first episode where we talked about this. I don't think.
No, and I feel like this show really lends itself to I say this about a lot of shows, but waiting until the season's done and then binging the whole friggin' thing.
Yeah.
It's dense enough that I get why it came out week to week, but I also get why I enjoyed it more watching it all in a row.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's jump into our TV diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Let's see, Nick, why don't you start this week?
Oh, mine's really short this week.
Okay, all right.
I had my sister's wedding this weekend, so I really had only time for the bare minimum of the homework and stuff, considering I had to catch up on Yellowjackets, Joe and Carole and all them. But I did go see the Batman Thursday night, which was pretty interesting.
I saw the Batman as well. I was coaxed into it by all my friends' reviews.
Yeah. I can't really go into it. Like, I like it. It has a lot of interesting ideas in it, and it really should have been a series on HBO rather than a 2 hour and 45-minute movie. Is that the runtime?
55.
It's
55?
almost 3 hours.
Fuck
It's almost
me,
3 hours.
It's so long.
And if you add in trailers and all that stuff, you were in that theater for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, and I know there's going to be a longer cut when it hits HBO. There's going to be like the Reeves cut.
Yeah.
And then I watched The Dark Knight in comparison. The Dark Knight is also long at about 2 hours and I think 20 minutes or 2 hours 25. Gets a lot more, is much clearer, accomplishes like less, but is more focused. Oh, and was it also, especially since we watched Robin Hood for this week, and I went to go watch The Dark Knight to remember, oh right, how exactly the same these movies are. That really there's no difference, that Robin Hood basically put archery on top of Batman and then got Green Arrow and decided, yeah, but what if we put him in the like in the past? Okay, well then we'll
Yeah, when we talk about Robin Hood, I got some words for you when we do, you making me watch this movie. When we do the Patreon this week.
I told you it was a singular experience.
It was indeed.
Like an arrow through your heart.
And me and Les watched Sweetie You Won't Believe It, which just hit Prime. Was it Amazon Prime?
Yeah, it's finally released it's on Amazon Prime and some other services. It's a fantastic best movie.
These random dudes in Kazakhstan,
yeah,
are on a fishing trip and accidentally see a mob hit, and they have to basically survive from there and get away from some mobsters as well as a weird drifter dude. It is hilarious. It's so funny. If you like some dark humor, there is some really dark, like, God, that's so fucked up but hilarious.
It's like watching two sets of Three Stooges run afoul of John Wick. Like, and it's hilarious. I mean, it is some of the best physical comedy and buddy comedy stuff, and it all translates really well. I'm so glad you liked it, Nick.
The camera work on it is so impressive, and I know I'm like, damn, these guys don't have almost any money for this budget. There's a reason that there's 3 locations in this entire fucking movie, like, and one of them is an abandoned gas station that did not look like a set to me. I'm like, you just shot in an abandoned gas station. That's just an abandoned gas station in Kazakhstan. That is not up to code.
Yeah, you and the 10 total people involved in making this movie.
Well, I hope your crew got tetanus. Oh, and this won't make any sense, but I've never seen someone shake milk in a more wrong way than a man in this movie. I think my exact words were, I don't like how he's shaking that milk.
I've never had to say that sentence before. I found a picture of it and I keep sending it to Nick.
I hate how he's shaking it. Please make him stop.
Yeah.
Only for me to later go, oh, thank God, he's just shaking the milk.
It is one of the 3 best things I saw at the fest, and I've just been waiting for all 3 of them to release. Sweetie, You Won't Believe It, Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, and then April 1st, Let the Wrong One In, the funniest vampire movie I've ever seen, comes out.
Yeah.
Wait,
looking forward to that one.
Is it a straight up parody?
It's not a parody, but the title is definitely it's an Irish vampire movie. Yeah, Let the Wrong One In.
Kind of like Shaun of the Dead.
Very Shaun of the Dead.
Like in title only.
Yeah, somebody's shitbag brother shows up and is clearly become a vampire from whatever the hell happened at the club last night. And the hilarity ensues.
Oi, why are you burning in the fucking sun, mate?
You know, like Ma's garlic potatoes no more. Put 2 and 2 together. 4? No, you're a fucking vampire. It's great.
And then I
Yes,
watched, after I finished the Afterparty, I went back and actually rewatched from the beginning, because it's actually shorter than I thought it was. And I was like, oh yeah, they play fair. They play fair with the audience as far as their misdirects and stuff. Like, it's pretty interesting. Hopefully are we doing that for dessert this week as well?
Afterparty? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we have
Okay.
to. That finale.
I hate to be this guy, but you're gonna have to let me take the headphones out when you do it, because I haven't seen it yet.
How did you not?
Did you watch
the
anything this week,
Afterparty?
Kyle? Good
The
lord.
bear did it. Kyle,
I watched all
goddamn.
the other stuff. No, my it's the whole Apple TV thing we were talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
earlier.
Oh, right. Yeah, I
right.
suppose.
But I know you've been
Yeah,
wondering all season about the animated bear in the intro, and
I'm gonna find out.
it's real and
Actually,
it kills
this weekend
everybody.
We're turning it back on.
It's a cartoon bear. It's true. It's not. It's not true. There's no cartoon bear.
It makes sense if you go back and look for it.
Yeah, it's like Cool World.
Actually, that does sound like a lot of fun,
Monkey Bone.
and I'm kind of expecting like a not disappointing ending.
It's
as
a
I
good
imagine
ending. It's a good ending.
you guys.
No, it's
a
pretty good.
ending. But yeah, I that was like the one thing I really wanted to watch this week. I'm bummed that you didn't get to see it. But yes, you can take your headphones out, and we'll talk about without you at the end of the show.
Thanks.
Les, what did you watch this week?
Let's see, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and then because of where I was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I went and watched a single New Girl episode, the 9/9 crossover.
Right.
Yeah, I keep meaning to go back and rewatch New Girl, and then I watch 1 or 2, and I just don't click with that show now.
Man, I went through a rewatch because they dropped a podcast. I started rewatching. I watched all the way through season 2 or 3, I think 2, and I realized that I thought I watched a ton of New Girl, but in fact I mostly loved season 1, and all
Yeah.
the things I remember were in season 1, and in season 2 they take a turn with Schmidt that I hate.
Yeah, this one, like, Schmidt is
They never
married.
recovered.
I'm like, what the fuck? This is way later than I saw.
I think they never recovered for me, and so I was doing the rewatch. I'm like, I've only seen up to like season 2 or 3. And I was like, oh, this is a good. I'll go ahead and watch all of New Girl. So I've never seen the Brooklyn Nine-Nine crossover episode because I've never got that far.
It's a crossover. It's a crossover.
My rewatch stalled out because I lost interest, and I think, yeah, unfortunately, there's some real weird decisions made on New Girl.
Yeah.
It's a good show with a good ensemble, but man, I think they kind of fucked that thing.
Yeah. I watched Robin Hood for the Patreon. I also went ahead and watched The Guest, which we'll discuss as well. Excited to talk about it. Afterparty, of course. I've been watching Billions. I'm in season 5, almost done with it. So I just watched the episodes that jump a full year in time in real time, but in story time they're supposed to happen like back to back. Like, oh hey Chuck, why did you hey Paul Giamatti, why'd you shave your goatee and lose 20 pounds in the last night of story time? That was just wild to watch them. I hadn't watched a lot of shows that dealt with COVID. I'm realizing it's really odd to see masks and stuff and watch them like work it into the story.
Oh yeah,
It'll be fun for TV and film historians to go back later and watch, like, well, there was this part where this series got
That's
skipped
all I
for a
could think
year.
of was like the changes from like 9/11. This is even bigger. Like this will be an even weirder seam.
Well,
like in
9/11
television.
was just a tone shift. Like, this was actual production stuff that needed to be.
Yeah, the only thing visually that changed with 9/11 was families at airports. That scene changed. Like, used to, families stood right at the end of the airplane and they hugged their dad when they came off the airplane or whatever. And then after 9/11, that shit's way out at the parking lot.
yeah.
Yeah, Home Alone 3 didn't happen the way they wanted it to because they were going to do the airplane thing again.
Yeah, and that's going to be way different. So I watched some Joe vs. Carole, Pam and Tommy. I did not realize until talking to Nick this week that Pamela Anderson's doing the Netflix documentary because somehow they got through making the Pam and Tommy show without seeing the irony of making a series about her non-consensual loss of privacy without her permission. Which I realize you didn't legally need, but that's not the fucking point.
I guess I just assumed they talked to her and asked her for a right and paid her off for the rights for her story. She comes off sympathetic in it, so it's not like she would have hated the script, I don't think. So I'm thinking they just didn't feel like paying her.
Maybe, or maybe they were worried. Maybe they were worried that she would say no. I mean, I don't know.
Well, then maybe they shouldn't do it. Like, oh, we didn't ask, so we did. She was afraid so we didn't ask. Wow, and we're doing a whole consensual based show.
So I do want to talk about this a little bit because I finished watching Pam and Tommy this week as well, and I feel like Pam and Tommy is one of my favorite shows this year. But I was like, man, I should be mad about Pam Anderson not liking it, but at the same time, I'm not like the world's biggest Pamela Anderson fan, and I'm not like
I don't think she doesn't like it. I think she's mad she's not getting paid at all for that.
And am I supposed to care about that? I don't know if I do.
Well, it's twice
definitely
over
support
she's not
the
getting
Netflix
paid
show.
for this thing. Like,
yeah.
But I'm with you. Like the Pam and Tommy show is great and has, I don't know, I get that she's mad, but it has done the Lord's work of improving her image for me. I didn't think about Pamela Anderson one way or the other prior to this show, and now I think of her as this sympathetic character, and I'm like, I really want you to do well in Chicago. I have no idea if she can sing, but she's going to make her Broadway debut. I'm glad shit's going well.
I think she's maybe mad at the wrong people because
it's working for her.
This definitely worked for her. It made me much more sympathetic to Pamela Anderson.
So I also watched Sweetie, You Won't Believe It with Nick. Watched the Goldbergs, which finally had their wedding episode, which the whole season's been building towards, despite Jeff Garlin simply not being in the show. I still can't help but laugh my ass off at that interview where he's like, I've not been fired. I don't know what people are talking about. And like, yeah, they didn't fire you. Like we didn't break up. We just haven't gone out on a date in 6 months or seen each other or called. and like,
but we didn't have the conversation when we said it ended. So
that interview did. I mean, Garland did come off as like both a complete jackass and not in touch with reality. And for what you're saying, I think basically they were just like,
it's hilarious.
Firing him is going to be such a hassle. Let's just tell him he's not fired.
We'll just finish out the contract. Like, who cares? So they've shot this whole season just around him, like reframing the living room shot so it just doesn't have his recliner in it and shit, or just his character's friends are over in the scene to see the family and not him. Like it's just weird. So in this one they couldn't fully get away with it, and so there are Jeff Garlin scenes, and I swear there's two of them where he is in a scene with like one other character, like Adam or so, like one of the other main characters for just a moment.
You sent in the text thread?
It is like a still photo.
I know it's like a cell phone picture. That looks like they straight up CG.
Still looks
Jeff
like
Garlin.
they CG'd his face on there onto the stunt guy.
Like did some Luke Skywalker deep fake type stuff.
Yeah. It totally looks like face swap. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not 100%. That's not what they did, and you can tell how often it looks like when you watch a really low budget movie and you're like, okay, you had Eric Roberts for one day. And then all the rest of these are an Eric Roberts sized dude from over the shoulder. You know? And like if you had to do any reshoots, and that's what all this feels like. It's wild. And because of how weirdly meta that is, I watched a couple episodes of Till Death, which is not a great sitcom. I'm not really recommending anybody watch Till Death, except for season 4. You can tell through all of season 4 that they knew no one was watching this show, and there's no reason it was on the air. Like the humor changes, and you can tell they don't think anyone's watching this show. And then midway through, they have it's a mom and dad and their loser daughter, like their daughter and her loser husband are living in an RV in their yard. That's the setup of the sitcom, which it has morphed from like way different from what it started. Like, let's try to make this work. Let's try to make this work. They made it 4 seasons in. They've changed actresses on the daughter 4 times at this point in the series. And midway through season 4, they just have her husband realize it. And he starts yelling it to other characters. That's not my wife. Like, we're in a sitcom. She's been recast. And they're like, you're fucking crazy. And he, like, in the middle of a breakfast scene is like, then why won't anyone sit on the other side of this table? Not a one of you. Like, they make him go see a shrink. Like, it goes on for a few episode arc. It's absolutely insane. And yeah, it's finally streaming somewhere. So Till Death.
All right.
Yeah, that's about all I watched. A bunch of classic albums things on Amazon. There's a BBC series called Classic Albums that you can look up on Amazon. And it's just a bunch of like, hey, this is how they made the Black Album. This is how they made Fleetwood Mac's Rumors.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I know they made Fleetwood Mac's Rumors.
It's cocaine.
They dicked cocaine, and a lot of people hate each other in the room. Yeah.
Anger and cocaine. It's a lot of the albums, actually. It's kind of like how all the behind the musics had that point in the middle where like their accountant fucked them.
Right, except for the Weird Al.
Yeah, except Weird Al. And yeah, it's all of these are like at some point there's a lot of drugs, or a producer comes in and the band gives them shit. That's in every one of them.
Kyle, what about you? What's your TV diaries this week?
So, besides the homework that we're going to talk about later, really 2 things to mention. I did watch Pam and Tommy. That is one of those things. It's like the first thing once I see it on my queue, I'm popping to every week. But
it was a good finale, right?
I think there's one more, right?
No, have you not watched the 8th episode that just dropped?
Oh
no!
I thought it dropped on Thursday. I'm thinking maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen it
Episode 8
yet.
dropped yesterday. I watched it yesterday.
Okay, I will. Yeah, no, I might watch that after we.
It's a good finale, and honestly, you guys are not going to believe how the cartoon bear figures into it.
The one thing that I did check out that I didn't see on the schedule, and I imagine you guys may have some feelings about, what's this guy's name? The dude from Step Brothers, John C. Reilly. But Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty, over on HBO Max.
Is this the thing that ended Adam McKay and Will Ferrell's friendship?
Oh my gosh. You know what's funny? There's no Adam McKay or Will Ferrell in here. This is the guy who wrote all of the recent Godzilla movies, Max Borstein. And then I don't recognize his co-writer, but he's got some credits on Robots and the Ice Age movies.
That is a weird.
But
that's
this
a
is
weird guy to
definitely
write this.
like when you see people rip Sorkin off, it's like, I mean, that's not a ripoff, but it's definitely like inspired heavily by Adam McKay.
Mhm.
And they make some really weird choices. Like, I'm not even going to get to the breakdown of the show yet. I'm just going to like go in with the production design because, for starters, they put a grain filter on everything. What was that animated thing we watched last week with the dog, the security dog?
Oh yeah, Cat Burglar.
Cat Burglar. The filter that they put on that to make it look like vintage animation, they have put that on this film. So everything looks like it's from, 1970s TV. Or actually, this is the 1980s Lakers. But it's like everything even like shots that you're like, this doesn't need to, but everything has that grain filter on it. And then the show breaks the third wall. But you know how
Do you
in
mean the
film
fourth
school,
wall?
Yeah, what's the
Oh
third
yeah, the
wall?
fourth wall. Sorry.
They just break down a lot of walls.
In film school, they're like, here's why you don't break down the fourth wall, or here's why it's hacky, like, this, that. There's like, here's how you subvert it. Here's how every like wrong thing you do with that, type of trick they do in here. For instance, one character will break the fourth wall and nobody else will be able to hear them. But then another character will jump in and maybe they heard what he said at the end, but not at the beginning. Maybe that then switch to another character in that. Now he breaks the fourth wall.
Some sort of Shakespearean soliloquy of like just telling the audience, but only maybe some characters can hear it.
It's so bizarre. If I had to compare it to anything, I would compare it to House of Lies over on Showtime, where Don Cheadle's character breaks the fourth wall. I really enjoy this, and they've actually done some fun like bullet time setups with that. But this is if you did that, but every character got a chance to be Don Cheadle, and it just comes off so weird. All that said, the story is actually pretty captivating. Like, I found myself, I've only watched the first episode of this, but I found myself the entire time kind of like committed to, seeing this guy get this basketball team, which is where I'm at in the series now. Him just pretty much getting, like, buying the team and what all is involved in that. John C. Reilly is playing it straight. He's not a goof, although there are some like funny parts in here, but yeah, there's some weird creative choices on just putting the show together. I feel like they already had everything you need for a period piece, the old clothes, the old car, the state. Actually, maybe that's it. Maybe they wanted to use a real basketball stadium, but without that grain filter on there, it just looks like a new basketball stadium.
But then why use it for all the other scenes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the project that ended Adam McKay and Will Ferrell's partnership.
Aw.
One thing I did want to mention real quick in my TV diaries, did you guys get to watch the Obi-Wan trailer?
I have not watched it yet. No,
I did.
I heard it being watched,
Les,
but I
you
have not
watched it?
watched it.
Yeah.
I did not think you would care.
You know how big of a Star Wars fan Les is, especially if it's going to be on Tatooine.
It filled up my Facebook feed, and so I hit play on it because it's a
Because that's
teaser.
what I want to see. More Jedi on Tatooine.
Yeah, well, I want to say two things about it, and that's the first one. This looks a lot like Boba Fett, and not in the sense that they're on Tatooine, but it looks like
they are
maybe
on
one
Tatooine.
episode. Well, yeah. But no, it looks like one episode's going to have Obi-Wan, and then just every other episode's going to be like a spin-off for some character.
I like the idea that every character in the Star Wars universe gets one episode of Boba Fett's show.
I like that they realize that none of these characters are very interesting and are like, okay, we'll name the show Obi-Wan, but it's going to be about everybody.
Here's the thing, you guys are saying this sarcastically. I actually do like that. It pissed me off with Boba Fett, but I'm okay with Obi-Wan being basically just a vehicle for Dave Filoni to do live-action versions of all his cartoons.
Well, that's because you don't care about Obi-Wan as much as you do about Boba Fett.
I don't give a shit about
So
Obi-Wan.
there's a shot of a little kid like
Fett.
fake pod racing on top of like a dirt hut or some shit.
Or is that a starfighter? Maybe it's another kind of spaceship. It's the goggles that make it look like it's pod racing.
Well, he's sitting there doing, and I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be a moment where Dave Filoni's got to, I mean, like, as much or more than any Clone Wars bit, like, you're really going to have to join these TV shows up to a portion of Star Wars movie history that I can't stand.
Look, he already had the Mandalorian say wizard. I don't think Filoni is scared of anything.
No, I like, the main reason I'm interested to see it is like, oh, you got to touch fire here, man.
Well, they also showed a character coming back that immediately perked my attention, and that was the actor who played, I forget the guy's name, but Uncle Owen in the prequels.
Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton, yeah. Which means that girl from the Nexium documentary, she's back too.
Does it?
Playing that, what's the aunt?
She plays Aunt
Randy
Beru.
knows.
You're right. You're right.
Yep.
That's right.
I was like, isn't that from Willy Wonka? But no.
You think they're gonna do a Nexium Star Wars crossover?
I just think it's kind of funny that like after being involved in something like that.
Oh, thank God they got the acting prowess of Joel Edgerton to maintain continuity. Fuck this universe.
You mean the orc from Bright? He's great.
I mean, you could have just replaced him with Sam Worthington, and I dare half the population to fucking tell the difference.
That's Jai Courtney. Wait.
I am so excited to talk this show with Les and Nick and watch them get angrier and angrier at it. It's so much fun.
I'm just going to do like Boba Fett, not watch
No,
it.
I'm not watching Obi-Wan. I watch Boba Fett kind of reluctantly. I'm not watching. It has the things I don't like, sand and Jedi.
Ewan McGregor is responsible for one of my favorite Star Wars moments of the last 20 years by a country mile. When Attack of the Clones was about to come, like in pre-production, He had just done some other movie and was at the red carpet for it, but of course, for the rest of his career, he will be occasionally asked about Star Wars.
Yep.
They had that day announced or leaked the name that it's going to be called Attack of the Clones. And I don't know if anybody else remembers, but there was about a week of just bales of laughter, or gales of laughter across all quarters. And Ewan McGregor summed it up perfectly when asked, like, "Hey, so did you hear the new Star Wars title is Attack of the Clones?" And he was like, he just burst out laughing. And immediately looked at him and was like, "Wait, like send in the clones? Like there ought to be clones?" And like you could see like the reporter like, "Dude, I don't know that you should mock." And you could see McGregor like, "I don't know that I should." Yeah, fuck it. But I just love that he said
In
what we all want.
Superbad, when Bill Hader says to McLuffin, he goes, "Yeah, that was Yoda from Attack of the Clones." You seen that? It's one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, so I props to Ewan McGregor for getting his own Obi-Wan show, because we all kind of went, "Dude, can they recast you?" Because damn,
I love the line in Dropout that we're going to talk about later of just like, "Oh, so your character Yoda that you're quoting is apparently knows everything in the universe but grammar and syntax."
Yeah.
Kyle, is that your TV diary?
That is my TV diaries. Yes, thank you.
So while we're talking trailers, did you guys see the newest one for Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent? The
Nick Cage,
man,
Pedro Pascal.
I have not. I'm waiting for this though.
There's a Red Band trailer for it, and it's delightful. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
So I watched a fair amount of stuff this week. I watched another episode of Gilmore Girls, watched some more Seinfeld, watched another episode of Cutthroat Kitchen, went and saw The Batman in the theater, and I feel like, unsurprisingly, as DC does not seem to know what I want, and doesn't matter what I want, I was not super into it, but I do recognize that it's a well-made movie. Giacchino's music is really good. The casting's good across the board.
Had I been Matt Reeves, I would have definitely liked to have the heads up that the Super Pets trailer was going to go ahead of this movie and make fun of the thing I do in the first 5 minutes, which is Batman fucking narrating over like, "I am fucking the City of Vengeance."
Do you honestly think he didn't know? They all know it's going to happen.
Well, I couldn't help myself. In the theater, we were all giggling because, like, literally, they just made fun of this.
I mean, contractually, any DC movie that releases into the theater has to be hobbled in some way. And so if Matt Reeves completed a great movie, they're like, "Okay, but tack 45 more minutes onto it." Do I have to? Yes. And we're going to lead with a Super Pets trailer.
So wait a minute, that's good though, Nick. If you guys got a bit of a giggle out of it, that means you had a laugh in this 3-hour fucking humorless movie. Jesus Christ, this was dour.
Well, that and when Penguin waddles, I kind of giggled.
Anyway, performances are great across the board. Pattinson's Batman is the best looking Batman live action's ever had. I didn't hate this the way I thought I would, but it's not. I don't like it. It's fine. It's an hour and a half too long probably, but it's fine.
He's
So
not
what
a
you're saying
direct
is
murderer,
next time
so-
go darker.
Oh, Jesus
Also,
Christ.
I do like the idea of Batman seriously just going, "Fuck cops."
Yeah, but also Batman sucks at his job. Everybody's talking about what a great detective he is. I'm like, is he? Because he figures everything out a bit too late. I don't know that he's the world's greatest detective.
Alfred's doing the cipher shit.
Yeah, he's really not that great a detective. He figures everything out way too late, and a lot of people die. Anyway, more the Batman. I watched the season finale for Grand Crew, which I really enjoy that show. I can't wait for more. I think it's got a second season coming, but it's really good. Watched the latest episode of Last Week Tonight, which was I think this week was about sex work or Ukraine or something else that's fucked and is never going to get fixed. But it's always really good. It was fun to watch.
No, it's how to support people in Ukraine. You do the
Yeah.
online. You pay for the sex work, even though you don't go over there and get it. It's
Yes,
just like a way that you can help
that's what it is.
support
Yes, you pay for the sex work even though you don't go. Yeah.
No, I don't do
Nicely
it. It's
done,
for
Kyle.
charity.
Yeah, you're trying to help the people of Ukraine.
Look, as long as you film it, it's okay. It's legal. It's all legal everywhere.
Yeah, that's where these charges came from.
Open hearts, open legs. It's the
I watched Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. There's only 2 more episodes left. Really digging this season. Watch Pam and Tommy. Watch Ghosts, which I think it's like a full-on 22 episodes, but I'm really digging that show. There's
Oh, you
some
really
funny...
stuck with it.
I did. I'm actually really enjoying it.
I'm pretty sure there's a second half of Miss Maisel season coming.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I believe they're doing it in 2 chunks.
Oh, that would make a lot more sense because I was like, it did seem like short at 8 episodes, but people are doing 8-episode seasons now. Afterparty did.
I may be wrong, but I think there's another piece.
Well, Prime can't decide how it's releasing shit anyway.
I watched the latest Severance, which was really good. Really
I knew
dark.
I forgot something this week. Damn it!
Yep. Watched the latest Star Trek Discovery. Still enjoying. Still waiting for them to drop the ball. Watched the first episode of Picard, which we're going to delay a little bit to talk about because I'm going to be out of town next week, and I definitely want to talk about it, so it's getting pushed off for a couple weeks. The Letterkenny International Women's Day special dropped on my Hulu. I was like not expecting that, but there was a little bonus Letterkenny to watch.
Oh shit! I didn't know that happened.
Oh yeah, and it's fucking fantastic. I don't want to give too much away, but I will say we meet a character who has only been spoken of before.
Speaking of trailers, did anybody else watch the Shoresy?
Okay,
No, I
is that
didn't watch
real
that.
or was that an
That's
April
real.
Fool's Day
I think
thing?
that's fucking
I
real.
think that's fucking real, dude.
Somebody, I saw a bunch of people in
Okay,
the comments that were like, "Please have Wayne show up and never show his face."
that would be so good.
Anyway, the Letterkenny International Women's Day special is extremely profane, and everyone should watch it. And it's also sweet. It's profane and dirty, and there's this really sweet ending. And also, like I say, there's a character we've never seen before who's been talked about a lot who shows up, and I was very pleased with.
Well, it gives your heartstrings a tug as well as your balls.
Give my heartstrings a tug.
Very
you
Letterkenny.
tit fucker.
Fucker.
All right, that's the TV Diaries for the week. Good reminder that you can go over to patreon.com/tvdodes, support us by giving us $1 an episode, and in so doing, we get to keep our hosting costs and our streaming services, and you get bonus content each week. This week, Movie Roulette begins, and we're taking on Nick's entry, the 2018 Robin Hood.
Actually, I think it's just Rob Hood.
We also have our $20 showrunner level, so if there are shows you want us to throw in the rotation, you can buy at that level. Give us a couple of ideas. As always, does not have to be anime.
What kind of ideas? Would it be acceptable for, I think now Legends of the Hidden Temple seasons are actually on like Paramount Plus somewhere. I think I saw that the other day, so...
Is that a game show? I don't know what that is.
Really? You don't know what Legends of the
it
Hidden
is.
Temple
Nope,
are? I forgot
Randy, that
you're
is a
old.
game show that we are on one side of a line of.
Yep.
That is a generational cause. It's like not knowing Double Dare.
You don't know who OMAC is, baby.
No.
OMAC is
It
One Man
holds up,
Army
too.
Corps. What are you
Exactly.
talking about?
Exactly.
Who the fuck is that?
That's
It's like we're speaking completely different languages.
He's a robot from the future, whippersnapper.
No, OMAC is a fucking temple head that's kind of racially insensitive.
Oh yeah.
I think the phrase temple head might be racially insensitive.
I didn't know how else to phrase it.
baked into his DNA.
He's a head in a temple.
They
Oh,
did
I thought it was a
Olmec
slur.
Sex Therapist, where it was like a Maury Povich type show, but Olmec the head was the host.
I would watch that. I don't know much about this
Uh.
OMAC, but I'm all for an Easter Island statue that runs like a Jerry Springer show.
It holds up because it's part trivia, it's part like physical stuff, kind of like Floor is Lava,
Mhm.
but they're like going through a temple and like really scary, probably culturally inappropriate dudes jump out and grab them.
It looked like Temple of Doom meets Double Dare to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
And for some
Actually,
reason,
yeah.
they kept getting kids that obviously didn't watch the show because the fucking idiots couldn't put the monkey together at the end. It's down at a,
Oh, they'd
it's a
make-
75-degree angle and then twist right, morons. They never change it.
I'm picturing little Nick yelling at the screen.
Nick's got opinions.
I watch a lot of Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Olmec, lower your gate. On your mark. Get set. Go.
All right, let's get on to our new business, and let's start with the Dropout on Hulu, which I believe this is one of 2 projects about Theranos. I think there's another one
Yeah.
coming.
Well, and there was also the documentary about it.
Oh, maybe it is the documentary they're talking about, but I thought there was another like drama coming.
So Kyle, when you were talking about the winning basketball thing earlier, like that had a bunch of casting dropouts. Like Michael Shannon was supposed to play John C. Reilly's character and dropped out like a week before production or something like that. And they replaced him with John C. Reilly. And not picking Will Ferrell or not telling Will Ferrell is like why he and McKay aren't friends. And I think that like John C. Reilly is a better pick for the weird style it sounds like they went for than Michael Shannon would have been. And similarly on The Dropout, I know this was originally Kate McKinnon in this role.
Oh, really?
I
I did
cannot
hear
believe that Kate McKinnon and Seyfried are close to the same age, because Seyfried will permanently, like a Michael J. Fox level, like she just looks young.
Oh, man. Kate McKinnon would have been so wrong for this. As wrong
It's
as to be
so
cast as
wrong.
Carole Baskin.
I understand the instinct, because you want someone that has that weird, like, deep
Intensity,
voice
yeah.
intensity that you get. But the character is supposed to be very young, and Kate McKinnon does not have the. She has the crazy woman energy, but she doesn't have
Kate
like a young
McKinnon,
woman
she's
energy.
not young enough for this, and she's not old enough to play Carole Baskin. I will talk about that, but
And she also can't quite turn off her. It's like Jim Carrey early career stuff. Like
Yeah.
she can't fully turn off her Kate McKinnon SNL-ness, which is
Yep,
really funny.
yep.
But Melissa McCarthy runs into the same problem, and it
Yeah.
would have been really wrong here. Meanwhile, Seyfried seems willing to like they must stop the scene and like eyes wider, open your eyes wider.
she's great here. She is the best
She's
part
so
of this
fucking
because
good.
she definitely plays this character as like someone who's clearly on the spectrum, who is not all there. And when she's trying to do her deep voice shit, I'm like, are you doing the character from Silence of the Lambs? Because it's creepy.
The scariest
as
thing
fuck.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. Fucking me would be an inspirational step.
I realized watching the first 3 episodes of this that like she's already done 3 wildly unethical things that
Yeah.
go past even like the Silicon Valley CEO type like moves and into like, no, you're fucking with cancer patients.
They give panaceas to
Yeah,
cancer
and-
patients,
and
man.
like-
That is fucked, or not panaceas,
And they've already
but
done all this, and I'm
placebos.
realizing she's not even in the Steve Jobs get up doing the voice
Not even
yet.
placebos, Randy. This is just things they know won't work.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
worse than that. You're right.
No, like they know they won't work. Like they just need the money. And realizing that we aren't even to the part of this story that I know yet.
Because a placebo intends that there's another drug that might work
Right,
that they're testing
right.
it against. They're just
Yeah.
straight up giving them
Oops,
fake
all
medicine.
placebos.
When Amanda Seyfried did the late night show, or she did Kimmel, she came out, and I don't know if I just haven't seen her in interviews before, but it was actually a little scary, like how similar she was in the interview to this character.
Hmm.
Of like kind of not neurotic, but like just very, like
Super intense.
anticipating what you're gonna say, like already trying to come
So-
up with like that calculatingness.
The idea
Yeah.
of the dropout in this show I find very interesting, because they don't really they bring it up a couple times throughout the 3 episodes that I watched, at least.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah.
the problem is that everyone, and they're trying to show the irony of like these dudes like that have a entrepreneur startup that are like, oh wait, where did you say you graduated from? You didn't graduate? We're gonna pass. And I'm like, okay, none of you fucking finished college either. But because it's a medical field, it's something different, because
Yeah.
you don't want someone, your doctor going like, oh, well, where'd you get your doctorate? I don't have a doctorate. Then don't work on my body. That's weird.
Yeah.
Don't be wrong. Like the higher education system, get a fucking apprenticeship anywhere you can. Like the diplomas really aren't worth anything except for a couple fields, and the medical field is one of those.
There are a lot of stories out there about like college professors who the students came to him. Warby Parker's an example. Students come to him, we got this idea, Warby Parker, will you invest? No, but you're going to learn more from this than you would if I would have invested. And then that person ends up kicking themselves in the ass and telling the story at conferences. This movie is about the next kid that comes to that professor.
Yeah.
Who knows how to work
Yeah,
that in the
yeah. You're
You're
conversation?
like,
Yep,
oh, I don't
yep.
want to miss it again.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to trust a freshman or a sophomore in college because they're going to disrupt the space.
I feel like she knew he didn't invest and
Yeah.
plays him.
No, that
there.
she
Do
totally
you?
did.
I don't feel like. I feel like this is entirely luck on her part. They're presenting her as so hapless.
You realize
she's very
that
smart, but she's hapless.
She's smart. She's not as smart as we think she is, because she can't even explain the science when pressed on it. She
She's
doesn't
just
know
driven.
the science to her own idea.
Yeah, she has no human, like emotional intelligence. She doesn't know how people work.
But this is a game that's above just being driven.
No, she doesn't even know how the medicine works. Like, she just did the design, but when they ask a bunch of the other people that are actually in charge of engineering and stuff, they're wondering why she put her name on the permits, because, like,
Or on the patents,
she didn't work on any of this. She basically told us to work on it.
You know what I find interesting about all this is, as I watch it, just as the story goes, is how much of this, again, as with Pam and Tommy, I feel like even though we're being told that she's basically a sociopath, we're seeing it, this is somewhat sympathetic to her.
Yeah, there are plenty of moments where you get where she's coming from.
That she's got, she's got these shitty role models around her. Her parents don't really understand her. The fucking boyfriend who's like 25 years older than her and takes advantage of her. Like,
that was predatory. That was weird.
And it is utterly fucked up. But at the same time, I'm like, you guys are maybe a little sympathetic to this person who gave fake medicine to cancer patients.
Well, they haven't even partnered with
no
Walgreens
romance
yet.
You know who isn't sympathetic though? This makeup department.
Oh man,
the makeup and hair. It's not a thing you normally notice unless it's bad.
Well, she looks like she's been
I looked up a
awake.
picture of the real woman, and her hair looked like this, where it was always frizzy, like she just slept in her office.
Well, and not just her, like the
William H.
Macy. Holy
Oh
shit,
man,
it looks insane.
So good.
Yeah.
Like everybody in this, they did a great job with like they look like the people of the era. They look like the characters. Like
William H. Macy looks like if Ned Flanders was a recovering alcoholic.
Right,
man.
Like Flanders' evil brother.
Also, I love his petty shit of like, she didn't ask me for advice because I'm terrible at what I do.
He plays that guy. So this is another thing I think that makes her sympathetic is because, man, having to be around that guy would make you pretty fucked up because that guy's such a dick.
Yeah.
And he's in every interaction with him. I'm like, and the bit where it's Chloe from 24 is his wife, I think.
Yeah.
And is running with her mom. And her mom is like, wait, he's going after my 23-year-old daughter because
just for fun.
And like, oh my god,
Marilyn Raxco, she's great.
Marilyn Raxco. Everybody here is fucked up in some way.
Like, oh, just for a laugh.
I love that she says it and she doesn't understand what it actually means.
Yeah,
she
doesn't know.
Like, I know it's something interesting.
So you can so that she'll have to buy you off. Well, your words. How would you put it? What are your words on it?
Watching Macy's enjoyment of like, no, yell at me, tell me to fuck off.
You wasp bitch.
like you can see he wants a fight. No one in this neighborhood will give him one.
Because he's got that inferiority complex of like, he doesn't feel like he's good enough for them because he's not, honestly. But also, her parents were the Enron people, and they had to come beg for him for money. And now the wife still calls her like Mrs. What the fuck ever. So you actually get okay, I get why you're mad at the parents. I don't understand why this child you feel like
she calls him out at that party, and like you can see that they're two peas in a pod.
By the way, this cast is stacked.
It's so good.
Not just Seyfried and Andrews, but Michaela Watkins, Ann Archer, Utkarsh Ambedkar, who I know from Ghost, but is in Free Guy. He's great here.
Yes.
Laurie Metcalf. We talked about Bill Irwin, Stephen Fry. Like, this is a fantastic cast.
I did not expect Stephen Fry. It's just great.
All of that said, for all the praise that I say, I don't know that I'll keep watching this.
I'm going to finish this out.
It starts to lose sympathy, and I'm like, I don't really... doesn't all the characters that I really liked are now no longer in the story, and everyone that's still in it. Like, by the time she does that Genius Bar speech of where she just plays up her feminine failure or whatever,
she just steals it off that girl,
and I'm like, that's psychotic. You are a crazy person.
But at the end of that episode, her two one fired, one quit. Engineers that actually built the prototype, they look like they're aligning against her, and so I'm wondering how much of the story's about to be.
Quit. Like, I don't know what they're doing.
Oh no, he got Edmund got removed from the building, and the other guy quit.
Yeah, she hires a whole another department. She like has her assistant like fucking spy on her own people, and this other engineer is making a completely different device that is like, hey, that already exists. That's just a smaller version of a thing. That's not new.
Right. And having watched the documentary, like, I knew at this point in the show, like, none of the tech that's not how that machine looked. Like, when they bring out the glue gun one, and I was like, that's what's actually inside a Theranos box. Like that's the track they go with.
Well, she's so far in deep now that it can't be about helping people because no, you're past that. You're not gonna.
No, she just wants to invent something and be rich and be famous.
Everything
for it.
is fucked.
I guess for me, when I watch this, I look at like Pam and Tommy, which is also based on real events, but is a fictionalization thing. I thought that it's very compelling, even though it's a story I thought I had no interest in. This is a story I thought I had no interest in, and I'm right. It's just not for me. By the way, this is Elizabeth Merriweather of New Girl working on this. She created it.
I think the what works against it too is that she's trying to be such a knockoff Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, that the show comes off like, oh, this comes off as like a knockoff biopic of like someone that tried to be this. She wanted to be a billionaire first and decided the medical degree was the way she was going to do it. It was not the other way around.
It feels like The Politician, only I know that this has real repercussions on real lives.
Yes. I think that's the thing, is that if there's a common thread between all the shows we watched this week, I think it is that a lot of it is well, two of them are based on real things, but all of them are about sort of weird, uncomfortable people that's hard to root for in weird, uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
And sometimes that works for me and sometimes it doesn't. And this is one of the ones that didn't quite work for me. It's a good show. It does what it does very well.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be, I guess it's something about it just makes it uncomfortable and not fun for me.
I think it's just the subject matter more than anything the show actually does.
Yeah, it may be.
It's kind of like the Titanic. You know where it's going to end. Which actually, this was just January when she was sentenced to 3 counts. So they haven't actually done the sentencing, or she was found guilty. They haven't done the sentencing trial yet. So they're saying she could get up to 80 years.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's rough.
Good thing she's young.
Let's
No, that's awful.
let's talk about Joe versus Carole, which they dropped every episode on Peacock. I watched one of them. I don't know how much you guys watched.
I watched 3, I think. 3.
I'm in one as well.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm not going to go in.
I'm going to keep watching it, but it's not as fun as I thought it would be, though I did enjoy it. I still think Dax Shepard would have been a better Joe.
You know, I should think, the funny thing is I think John Cameron Mitchell is the best part of the show.
He's great.
I
He's just
agree,
underweight for Joe, for me. He looks
I really
too thin
wish this
for
show
that
was
mullet.
just about Joe, actually.
Sorry, what you say, Kyle?
Oh, no, I was going to say they don't sell it in the trailer because the trailer wants you to watch it for Kate McKinnon. But yeah, you find out really quick, like the guy from Shrill who played the
John Cameron
the
Mitchell
Adam Savage parody.
Yeah, John Cameron Mitchell, yeah.
He is so good.
He was in Good Fight. He plays this great side character that trolls them, like this internet troll that they keep suing.
I think the biggest, I don't know, I think the biggest problem with the show is that Tiger King already did it. Tiger King was a documentary, and it was bizarre and crazy and came out at the middle of the pandemic, and like, there's nothing here that is more outrageous than Tiger King.
That SNL that just redid the trailer for Unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like,
what's that?
Like the SNL sketch that just did the trailer for Unstoppable.
Yeah.
That's kind of like y'all just made a show of this documentary. Yeah.
Like this opens in a place that's interesting. It opens toward the end. It opens with Carole Baskin getting a handgun because she is informed that Joe has hired a hitman to kill her, and she and her husband going shopping for guns. And
Kyle
I was in at that point. And Kyle MacLachlan. I mean, I liked the opening of this. I'm like, this it's Fish and Wildlife, right? And they come to, it's not the FBI. And they're like, we can't, nothing we can do about this. We
told you.
And they're like, they're going to get guns. And I'm like, if this is where you started, and then we keep going, but then they flash back, and I'm like, okay, but I know all this. Like, I don't want to see. I know where it's going, and that part I'm interested in. I'm interested in seeing that played out. I don't really want to see Carole Baskin. I don't want to see Kate McKinnon and John Cameron Mitchell reenact a thing I've already seen, unless it's going to be a little more out there, a little more fictionalized, a little wackier.
Yeah,
and it's not. It is not crazier than Tiger King.
I would rather it be a completely different story, and they just take elements of it. Like, what's that American Horror Story season where they take like the Trump and Hillary election, but they just call them different people?
Yeah, that like they should have fictionalized this just a little bit. I think
they are trying to at least break the story up in a different way, which ends up just leaving me a little confused because I'm like, oh wait, I remember this. Why do I? Oh, because it's just straight from the
Yeah,
documentary.
because they
Mhm.
jump in time a lot, and
Yeah,
it's
and that's a mistake too.
and it's going between two different people, and for some reason, I'm only 3 episodes in, but I'm not sure if Carol Baxton funded this, but she comes off as like the person that's trying to go against all these pet wildcat owners, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, wait a minute, she is not the hero of this. Like,
Yeah,
let's take it
if
back
you're-
a second.
Yeah, that's the thing. I do wonder if she had some. She comes off as trying to be. Well, also, Kate McKinnon is not a great Carole Baskin. She's doing her best work here, but I'm not buying. I don't buy her as Carole Baskin.
Funny enough, there was another SNL cast member that did Carol Baskin when this came out last year, who was actually pretty good. I forget the woman's name.
But she's not as. I mean, she's not Kate McKinnon.
I wonder if it was 80 Bryant.
I mean, here's the thing. Kate McKinnon.
No, one of the new cast
Okay.
members.
Kate McKinnon was really good. Her like Elizabeth Warren that she did was a lot of fun. But the thing is, all the SNL stuff is like an exaggerated comedic version of it, and this is trying too hard to be Carole Baskin, and I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like they're trying to hew too close to reality, and it's not funny enough.
But they still can't manage to not let Kate McKinnon do her Kate McKinnon. It's like, well, they paid
Yeah,
for it and we're
she's
going to
still
do
Kate
it. Because in
McKinnon.
the first episode, when she's
Mhm.
doing all the different first lines in the her first whatever YouTube video or whatever the fuck she's about to
yes,
do,
yeah,
live feed or whatever, and there's a moment where it's like, this could be out of Ghostbusters. This could be
Mhm.
out of this is just Kate McKinnon
Mhm.
riffing. Like, she just does
Yep.
this to her cats at home.
Yeah, her like
Mhm.
"Hello Cats and Kittens" riff monologue. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
that
okay.
whole thing. That's just Kate McKinnon being Kate McKinnon.
Also, I hated that. I'm like, her whole that's one of Carole Baskin's things. Hey, you cool cats and kittens. And this again goes to Kyle's wondering of like how involved she is in this, because I don't believe that there was a moment where she came up with this and a light bulb went off and she's like, "Oh, that's my catchphrase." No, she just says that because that's who she legitimately is.
That wasn't the 17th thing out of her mouth. That was the first thing out of her
That was
mouth.
the first thing she said. She's been saying it for 25
There's a line here where
years.
Joe says he visits the cat sanctuary and he says, "Well, what's the difference between her and me? Like, she's got a nicer place and she doesn't
Mhm.
sell cubs, but other than that."
Yeah.
And the show portrays it like he's insane for comparing them, and I'm like,
But at least he
no,
pays his people.
No, he's right. He's right.
He's right.
All her people are volunteer interns.
Her place is just his place with a glossier sheen on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Tiger King sets these people all as, look at how crazy all these motherfuckers are. And
Yeah.
this is like, look at this woman trying her best to save these cubs from Joe. And I'm like, what are you talking
And
about?
I don't know if the show is trying to are they trying to play off that she doesn't pay her people and she's like because of the cause or whatever? Because they say like,
Yeah.
well, because I only want true believers in here, and then she buys her cat's fucking perfume from like France.
She said something like that in the documentary too.
I believe that about as much as I believe that Elizabeth Holmes wants to invent a medical device to save lives first and be a
Yes,
billionaire
right?
second.
It's like, no,
Like-
you got your thing is this cult just like the other dude, and all the people
Yes.
that own these cats, you all have cults.
Y'all are
Yeah.
all, yes, every one of y'all is creepy in this documentary. That's
you're
the
all
main
crazy. Yeah.
Back to Randy's conspiracy theory about the Carol Baskin's
No,
promotion.
it's your conspiracy theory. I'm jumping on board it.
They never mention her accusations of killing her first husband.
No.
Right? And that's like the most
Nope.
interesting thing
In,
about
Right.
her.
in third episode,
Yeah.
they go to it,
Oh, they
but
do.
I'll tell you what,
Okay.
I haven't watched it to the rest of it, but they stick on this like letter she sent the thing that said she was going to kill her first husband rather than her second husband, and I'm like, that's not why people think you did it.
Yeah.
People think you did it because the day before he went missing, you changed both of you went in there, changed the will to include the term in case of my death or disappearance, which is a thing people don't prepare for.
People think you did it because you fucking did it.
because he's still gone.
No, sure, like not in a court of law you did it, but I'm not gonna hang out with you. You like you know
No.
that, right? You know why?
We're gonna get her OJ style. She's gonna be like stealing some of her memorabilia from somebody's apartment and get
It would
arrested.
be so on brand. It would be so on
Like
brand.
they treat her like she's being really unjustified for people assuming she did it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
are you sure?
No.
'Cause
No, she's not. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I didn't have high expectations for this only because Kate McKinnon was involved that I actually watched it. And I watched the first episode and I'm like, yeah, no, this is about what I expected and I don't need any more of this.
One of the funnier parts of this is if you guys remember, there was this like meth head who
Yeah.
Joe, turned gay. They
There are
play
many
him
meth
like
heads in the
straight up like
story.
a Brokeback Mountain action star in this.
Yep,
Like
yep.
he's like very
He's just so in
serious.
love
The
with
guy
the
in the
cats.
documentary had a grin on his face the whole time, teeth falling out. Like
I will
Yep,
say this show
yep.
does make me see more of why people fall for Joe's shtick.
Yeah.
It's a crazy outcast, like we're just all society don't want us and we're gonna be together and raise these cats.
His insane confidence lends to
Yeah.
that. I don't know why people follow Carole Baskin. She's a fucking weirdo.
Cats.
And see, that's the thing. I think the show wants us to believe that Carole is the hero and Joe
Yeah.
is the antagonist.
That's what I'm thinking
But Joe
too.
is the more interesting character. I mean, like I say, John Cameron Mitchell kills it here.
I can't
He
wait to
is
see him
so
do the
good.
songs and shit. That's the main reason I'm gonna keep watching is John Cameron
He's,
Mitchell.
he's
yeah.
weirdly more sympathetic for some reason. Like,
Yeah.
just because he acts more like a human being. Even though
Yeah.
he is also a terrible fucking person.
Terrible
Oh
person.
my God, he's just a fucking trash bag. He's a trash bag from my neck of the woods, and I kind of love
There
it.
are no heroes in this story. I don't know why we're trying to make a protagonist in the story.
Yeah, no.
the thing that I found fascinating about the documentary is like I can see where the physical animal, the tiger, could be hypnotic, and just wanting to be around these animals would explain why Carole Baskins has people, Doc Antle has people. And yeah, Joe Exotic and all those people, they use the tigers to essentially exploit people and to, build their own little cult.
They're a couple $1,000 tiger cub away from stealing Kyle from his family.
Kyle, I need you to be honest with me. Do you have a tiger with you right now?
Is there a tiger in the
No
room
lie.
and blink
You
twice?
know Kyle's a bobcat man.
I saw that documentary and I was like, I'm glad he didn't find me. I'd have joined that cult in a heartbeat, man. That's great. Meat truck day, like.
That was a takeaway from me of like, tigers are surprisingly affordable.
No, that was coming out of that Netflix doc. That was the real takeaway from it for me was like, shit, tigers are cheaper than I thought. That's
Yeah.
bad. That's got to be bad.
Here's the thing. I think that's the secret that could have made this show work. If instead of being Joe versus Joe and Carole, if this had been a show about a couple people who decided after watching Tiger King to create their own tiger sanctuary.
Just call it Tiger People.
And you could do a fictionalized thing. You could do The Office. Like,
Fuck.
make it a comedy. Like,
Randy.
that would have worked.
You'd make it a show about one tiger. It centers around, and it makes its way through all the
Through
fucking.
all of
Oh God,
all
like the $20 or one bullet or whatever. Yeah, like
It
just.
Yes.
goes across the country to all of these different, because it's not just those guys; it's all of
Oh
these things.
God,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like the worst life of Pi ever.
yeah.
The CG animal budget here is on point. I think they must have some PETA contract. There's
Look.
not a single animal.
I'll be real. If I went to a fair and someone had spray painted a sheep that well, I would go up and look at it at least. I wouldn't be 100. I mean, it's not a tiger, but I wouldn't be 100% mad because it's pretty good airbrushing.
All right, let's jump over to Our Flag Means Death over on HBO Max. I gotta be honest, this is my theme this week. I was disappointed.
Same.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know what I expected from it, but this was just kind of, that's cute.
It's not. I mean, I got a couple reasonable chuckles
Mhm.
out of it, but at no point was it like. I mean, it's Rhys Darby, who I adore, and Rhys Darby being a gentleman pirate, like it seemed like a really fun concept. The trailer was fun. He's got some good supporting casts in there, but it just never quite clicks.
With Taika Waititi's name on a project, you're always hoping
Yeah.
it's going to get to What We Do in the Shadows, but this is more on the
Yeah.
Wellington Paranormal end of the spectrum.
Yes,
It's not that bad.
No,
but
it
it's
wasn't that bad
definitely
for
that
me.
direction.
But it feels like Flight of the Conchords with no songs.
Yeah.
Actually, yes. That's what I was thinking is I was like, oh, he wanted to figure out a show where Rhys Darby could be the star character. And I'm like, honestly, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think
premise.
of
Yeah.
other situations where he works as kind of the lead, and it has to be something more exaggerated
No.
like this.
The premise works great. It's just that they and I think the common thread and one of their common threads is tone here. Like the tone of this can't decide whether it wants to be a comedy or like a little bit serious. And every time they're having him like hallucinate his friend who he stabbed in the head, I'm like, what am I supposed to care about
It can't
this?
be it's not as wacky as I think. Like, here's an example. The flag thing. Like, they're going to
Yeah.
make a
Mhm.
flag, and I'm like, oh, this is funny. They're going to, And because one guy's mentioning cats or whatever, that the cats are scary. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
they're going to make a bunch of flags and they're all going to look stupid.
They steal your soul and they have knives for feet. I was like,
Yeah.
he's got a great point.
Yeah, that's right. Where I was like, okay, they're going to make a bunch of flags and then justify them. And they almost do it with that scene of like, oh, look at all the flags. Except none of them are very, the cat one was the funniest. And
And you already did that joke.
And we already did it. Because the other ones are like, oh, it's buttons. And look at, this one's holding his own head.
Yep.
The funniest laugh I had in that scene was when they were like, I'm not sewing, it's not manly. And like, well, he sews, and the guy like, yeah, I sewed my shoulder, and he's clearly reattached his whole arm.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now that works. Like,
Yeah, there's
because all the
little funny
pirates are like,
bits.
I guess I'll sew.
But like they bring in Leslie Jones and she plays it subdued, and that's just a waste of Leslie Jones.
Oh, I haven't gotten to that one yet, but that is disappointing.
I was like, oh, okay, what's she going to do? Like, who's she going to kill? She kills no one.
No one. Yeah.
I needed to be not just more wacky, but more violent. I was really
Yes.
sad when they pulled up beside and it's just the fishing boat and they steal the plant. And I was like, okay, that's cute, but do something though.
Well, you get the idea of a gentleman pirate, and that is funny, but when a pirate that doesn't fucking pirate is kind of like,
So
Yeah.
What are you
have
gonna
him
do,
be
man?
constantly apologizing and dabbing blood off of people that his crew have just impaled.
yes,
Like,
that would be
I'm good,
funny.
you know.
Yeah.
Like I think we left them with, I feel we left as friends, and like the ship's just smoking in the sea.
It's smoking,
And-
yes.
Yeah, he needs. I think probably the secret that would have made this work is if his pirate cast was competent. If they were basically using him as a cover.
Mhm.
When it started and they're so frustrated, I thought they were going to go that way.
Yeah, but instead they're all fuck ups too.
Well, they're all complaining, even though they have the sweetest gig on the 7 Seas, baby.
He pays
Yeah,
a salary.
They have a fucking
Health
salary.
insurance.
They eat well. They don't have to eat each other, even though that's really a thing they seem to jump to a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of. It's not bad. It's got a lot of talented people. It's well produced and all that. But at no point was I like, oh, that was. I mean,
I
there was
think-
not even like polite guffaws. It's just like
Taika
eh.
Waititi's name is kind of like what's his name? Good Place. Fuck.
Mike Schur.
Michael Schur.
It's kind of like Mike Schur when he kind of touches a project of like, okay, is this a project you actually worked on, or just took a producer credit so that you could sell it, your friend could sell it?
Did you just pass by and bless? Did you
Yeah.
just bless their track?
Did Jordan Peele
did you bless
direct
your
this?
track?
Or did Jordan Peele get near production?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, he's the narrator. Got it.
I once met a lass so fine, she was drunk on barley wine. I'd been to sea for months or 3, I knew I could make her mine. And the lass was past consent, so it was off with her we went. And we threw her in bed and rested her head, and we left, 'cause that's what gentlemen do.
A woman has a right to a drink or two without worrying about what you will do.
All right, let's talk about what I think is the best show we watched this week, and that is Yellowjackets. I did not see this when you guys originally talked about this, and I was out for something. But people have been talking about this, and so I finally went back and watched it. And this is it takes place in 2 parts. One is modern day with these older women who were all part of a soccer team that went cannibal after it crashed somewhere.
So we think.
So we think. It's very heavily implied.
It implied
haven't
they at
actually
least ate one person. We're not
But,
sure.
But I love that nobody's confirmed. It's everybody's like, so
No.
y'all ate each other. That's what happened, though. I mean, y'all ate each other,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But it was so much worse. So
And we still don't fully know.
the thing I think was interesting, they open it. You guys talked about this in the podcast, and I had forgotten it, but then when I was watching, I was remembering you guys saying it. But they point so heavily in the first, like, oh, they clearly ate the girl. They ate that poor girl, Misty. Like,
Yeah.
they clearly ate Misty the poor.
Yeah.
And then there's a turn, and you're like,
No.
At the very
oh,
end,
no,
you realize,
she's still alive.
Yeah.
And, oh, she's fucking nuts.
No, Misty is a problem, man.
Yeah.
At a certain point, they call, like, they have a body they need to get rid of, and they don't take
Yeah.
a second. They know exactly
Just
who to
call
call.
Misty.
yeah.
See?
They call
yeah.
Misty, and she comes up and is so nonplussed and knows exactly what to do.
What to do? Yeah.
Okay, I know that you all need her right now, but you all are going to have a conversation later about how fucking scary it is she knows how to do all this, right?
You know someone who knows how to get rid of a body and doesn't blink an eye.
unfortunately, the person who can help you dispose of the body is not a person you really want to owe.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, I think that's true in most body disposal
in almost any
situations. I think that's
situation,
generally-
particularly
yeah.
here.
But
Ugh.
I'll say this. I think this reminds me a little bit of Lost
Mm-hmm.
in that there's a lot of mysteries being built up. I mean, not just because it's on a deserted area.
Yeah, they're not in an island, I don't think, but yeah,
not
wilderness.
Not an island, but
A plane
but what was-
crash.
survival, plane crash.
There is
That
really
fucking
that only
plane crash.
one cabin. I don't know if they ever figured out if it's a drug thing or
So
That's
some
what my
weird shit
theory
going
was.
on. So, but this is like Lost later in the season where they had the flash season, the flash forward too.
Mhm.
But I worry because Lost didn't land things, and I worry that this with all this. As I watched this, I was really enjoying it, and I think it's a great show. But as we got to the end of the season, and they had not meaningfully addressed a lot of the questions they raised, I was like, is this going to be one of these things where it's going to be a Showtime show that's going, and like in 6 seasons, I'm going to be like, that show's still on? I gave up on it in season 3 when they had the lumberjack thing show up.
If it's still going in season
Season
6, it'll be a
finale
problem.
Is a little
but-
disappointing because I was thinking, okay, so we're going to focus on these 4 survivors, but then
Yeah.
one of them is going to be central to the story and going to show up in the last episode,
Yeah.
and they sort of do that, but they don't. Lonnie's character is like someone we still don't know anything about.
I thought this was a
Lonnie?
miniseries event. Didn't realize it was an ongoing show. It does have a season 2 already.
Yeah, that
But-
disappointed me. If it's 2 or 3 seasons, I can roll with it.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought I was watching a complete show and was a little disappointed.
It got to episode 8 where I'm like, a lot of these fucking chicks are still alive for this to be.
Yeah, either
the last
everybody
2
dies
episodes.
suddenly or y'all are not landing this at 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really, this is a little frustrating to say, but I didn't feel I really liked the show. But it's a season 1 that I really liked that set up a season 2 that I can't wait for, which basically reminds me of Umbrella Academy in that regard.
Yeah,
Not in really any other regard, but in that regard of like, oh, I really liked this, and what you just set up makes me like jump up and down because I
And there's
really
some
like what it
culty,
sets.
weird shit going on.
Also, the realization that like the 2 or 3 problems we thought we were dealing with in season 1 turn out to be like small time.
Yeah.
Like they just barely toe in the water touch the real problems heading at these women.
So I want to talk about the main 4 characters because I think a lot of what makes this show work. I mean, the teenage characters and all that are really well done, and I think that's a good show. But what makes this show just really work is Melanie Linsky, Juliette Lewis, Christina Ricci, and who's the other one? Is it just those 3? No,
Taissa.
Yeah.
Oh, Taissa. Yes.
Fuck.
I'm
I
blanking
forget
on her
her
name. Look it up.
Yeah.
Christina
yeah.
Ricci is like
I would say she steals the show. except
Tawny
that-
Cypress.
Bonnie Cypress.
Yeah.
Tawny Cypress. Yeah. I would say that she steals the show, except that fucking Juliette Lewis and Melanie Linsky are constantly stealing it back.
Yeah.
Like they are killing it. And it's not that Taissa's uninteresting, but she's her like corrupt politician who might have a violence issue and a blackout persona is somehow less interesting than the crazy shit about the other 3.
because I could tell it was going to happen when the kid
Yeah.
says the bad lady.
And the lady
Yeah.
in the tree.
Is this
and all
going to
that,
be the
yeah.
thing? Is it going to be the first thing I'm going to guess on this?
Yeah.
Though I did like her having blackout and like her being freed of like, oh shit, I'm doing it again. No, this is
Yeah.
bad. This is gets this and her saying it to Shauna, like or Melanie Linsky's character of like, you remember how bad this gets, right?
Yeah.
And then that's another one of the episode 10 reveals for season 2 that I'm like,
Yeah.
well, and you've let the other 3 shine this season and then found a way to make the politician crazy interesting for me going into season 2.
Yeah.
Though I love Melanie Linsky and everything, and she is great
I
here
do-
as usual.
I do too. And
I usually hate Juliette Lewis, and she crushes it here.
she is so good here because she seems like a psycho, but she's got reason to be a psycho.
Right?
Dude, when she shuts down her own daughter, like with that,
Oh,
blackmailing
Linsky's
her-
mutually assured destruction
Yes.
thing?
Oh, that
That's
was
so,
so good.
fucking great.
Yeah.
That was so baller. I was like, God, like, hey, honey, come in here. Our daughter has something to tell you. I'm like, fuck,
Yeah.
this is
well.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things you can only get Melanie Linsky to do this because she can play the sort of meek housewife, and then she can play this badass bitch, and you believe it because
Yes.
you think that she's this person who's just been beaten down by life.
not yet.
She got pregnant. She married this guy because she had to. She hates her daughter. She hates her life. but man, she's got that streak in her.
She does back against the wall so well.
There's a monster still in there, dude.
Yeah.
She fucking kills a dude, realizes she did the wrong thing, and then they just cover it up.
Oh God, when she rolls with, I love the whole husband thing. All of that coming out was beautiful. Like the way that plays out was so good.
I thought that she was going to have a breakdown scene later, but no, some of the other characters do about that.
Right? No.
Not
she rolls
her.
with that.
She
Yeah,
seems
she's
to
like,
be
no,
like,
it happened.
what a bummer.
There's a lot of great lines in writing on the, like that mutually assured destruction thing's great, but in one of the scenes of them in the wilderness, the girls, when they're first burying the plane crash victims, like the folks that died, one of the girls, like they're talking about a girl that like, well, she just joined the squad, and so we don't really know her. In math class, she always seems smart. And one of the other girls goes, I saw her carry a flute case once. And it's the saddest fucking thing I think I've ever heard said at a television eulogy. Like in one line, I was like, okay, you nailed this scene in under a minute. Like, holy crap.
I even like the airplane crash story as far as
That's a brutal air crash too. That girl on fire.
yeah.
Holy
Because
God.
Yeah.
Misty or Misty, the
Mhm.
things you think she's I already tipped off like, okay, this chick is a little nuts. But by the end of the second episode, I want to say, where she trashes that
Where she
transponder,
trashes
The
the black
transponder.
box?
I was like, okay,
Yes.
everything that's about to happen can be laid at your feet now.
Yes, because she finally felt useful.
Yes.
And she wanted to keep feeling that way.
And then later in the season, her trying to drug Ben results in her tripping the whole fucking place.
Oh my God.
That was hilarious. I mean, it wasn't funny, but like
It was kind of funny.
when it happened, I was like, I can't believe this hasn't happened earlier, frankly.
Okay.
Holy crap.
We talk about tone. I talked about the tone issue with so many shows this week. And honestly, Showtime has trouble with tone.
Oh yeah.
They're weird, like whether it's a comedy, whether it's a drama. Yellowjacket is about as pitch perfect as they've ever gotten it.
You want to take it. They want to take it a little bit seriously, but also it's just trashy enough to be really fun.
It is a black comedy and it works.
So there's a moment where Christina Ricci's been spying on Juliette Lewis's character
Yes,
with a cam.
I know exactly
And
what
she
you're talking about.
sees
Yes.
her about to relapse and she buys a bunch of coke and she sees the
Yeah.
drug deal and is like, oh hell no, and races over there, and you're watching Juliette Lewis cut lines of coke on a fucking The scene that follows where Christina Ricci basically like explodes a cloud of coke in this room and then dives across Juliette Lewis with her hands on her head going, don't you breathe it, don't you breathe it, no.
Yes. Oh man,
Like,
but
I
before that, she
fucking
saves her by doing
died.
the lines of
Oh
cocaine
yeah,
herself.
she tries to, and then she stands up. She's like, "I've never done coke before. What if that had been PCP or heroin or fentanyl? I'd be dead now. But I did that for you."
Oh man, Christina
So
Ricci.
fucked up.
I love Christina Ricci, but this may be my favorite thing.
Oh
she's ever
man,
done. Like,
it's the
this
best
is-
thing she's
this
done
is
since
better than
Wednesday
Wednesday
Addams.
This is
Addams.
what that
This is-
character needed: a coke high.
Right?
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh
Misty
god, her whole
is
thing with the
such a great
journalist.
character.
Well,
Yes.
I love
yeah.
the goalie. What's her name from Santa Clarita Diet?
Yeah.
That basically had the face eaten off by wolves.
They should have gone further with that scar.
Yeah, because I
Man.
thought like
It looks real
didn't
clean.
we see her teeth out of
Yes,
the
it is
Yeah.
spectacular. That
Yeah.
I mean, and they go
That
for the
effect
was
full
great.
bore when they need it. But holy shit!
Yeah.
Also, they try and burn her when she's still alive. I'm like, I'm still alive. Come on.
Isn't that the second time that's
Yes.
happened to her?
I was going to talk
Yes.
about that first time because there's a lot of that like tension in the beginning because they ditch her in the plane because she's stuck in her
Yeah.
seatbelt and about to burn to death, and
Yep,
Jackie
yeah.
pulls away Shauna, and she shows up later with just ash over her face. Hey guys,
Surprise!
Yeah. Yeah. By the way,
It's like holy
did they-
shit.
did they
Yeah.
eat Jackie? Because Jackie's the only one we know doesn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
Or unless she did and she's in the fucking cult or
oh,
something.
you didn't see the last episode?
No,
I
no,
did?
she dies.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
dead.
Jackie
She's-
freezes to death
She froze to death.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
because
with the coffee and the or
well,
the hot
they
chocolate.
say
forgot
it's,
about- I
they
forgot
say,
about that,
oh,
that's right.
we ditched her out of the cabin and it snowed and we didn't know it snowed. I'm like, it didn't have to
That's-
snow for her to die of hypothermia, idiots.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I
It-
remember that
she
now.
was gonna
Yeah.
die if it snowed or not.
Y'all did that already. Y'all did
Yeah.
that to her.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and then the big reveal of that it's like the. Do you guys think are they doing anything supernatural here? Because they're
I don't
definitely-
think it is.
They're going right up the line of it.
I don't think
I
it
want to
is.
see Lonnie. Lonnie is the character where all the supernatural shit seems to revolve around. She's the one that
Yeah.
had the premonition in the seance. She's
the
the one
bear.
that killed the bear. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, if this is not supernatural, she has to be involved in it. And I actually don't know any. She's one of the characters I know nothing about. Don't know her.
Yeah.
I don't think
past,
it's supernatural.
her-
I think it's
I don't know her future other than she is alive. I know she is alive.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So she makes it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to season
I'm
2.
thinking those dudes that capture Nat at the end, I think they work
That's
for
Lonnie's
her.
cult. That's Lonnie's cult.
Yeah.
That's Lonnie's cult. Yeah.
She
It's
started
100%
some
Lonnie's
fucked up
cult.
cult after this thing went down.
So I have an interesting thing about the producers, the creators of this. I don't know if you guys looked at this at all. They worked on Narcos.
Ooh. You can feel some of that in there.
Like one episode of Narcos, like not a lot of Narcos, but they worked on Narcos. Maybe that's where they met. Then they worked on a couple episodes of Dispatches from Elsewhere, which also
Okay,
kind of
I could also see that.
And it looks like they worked together on The Originals, which is a weird like CW thing. But I can sort of see where all that leads to this.
Yes. There's a little CW secret keeping and drama, teenage drama in here from that, but not enough to where it's ruins it like the CW does.
Yeah.
Well, so I feel like they save themselves from that by giving me the adult time, like the adult storyline, because it's not all high school girls keeping secrets in the woods. But at the same
that
time,
wouldn't work.
They break the thing that I would have said was the secret to Lost, that when you have a pressure cooker story, you can't leave the pressure cooker. Like, so Lost wouldn't have worked if we had kept jumping constantly back to like their families in the real world, worried about them, or like you don't want to see that parallel line. And so I was really worried when they kept jumping forward that we were going to diffuse the tension of them being like screwed here. And they don't. They play the wilderness stuff beautifully realistically. I mean, it's not like the Revenant or anything, but it's pretty fucked up. And watching them really deal with it, it's great. I really enjoy this. I still wish it had been a 10 and done show, because that's what I thought I was going into. But I'm excited to find that it does have a season 2, and I'm not dead in the water on it.
There
I
is
will
a couple
100% watch the
things
second season.
in the end. Like, I get that they think something supernatural is going on, but there is a point of like, I'm with Jackie as far as, no, wait, yeah, maybe we do. There is the weird thing of us worshiping this new forest god that seems creepy, and that we shouldn't do that. But also, what did she say about the knife to Travis's neck? Not everyone knew about that, and no one seemed to like take issue with it as much as Jackie not believing in this.
They all roll
god
with it.
thing. I was like, no. Some of these people should ask questions about that. They should be like, hey, wait, what are you saying? What happened?
She was absolutely about to kill him.
Because also Travis is like in the like the one like a fuckable dude in all this entire crew of women, and if the gender roles were reversed, it would have been so scary. And now it's starting to get even more scary. Of like, dude,
it's still scary. That dude nearly got orgy
when they
murdered.
find the lake, and like the first girl's like, wait a minute, is Travis hot? And like the girl next to her looks over, is like, it's been 3 days. 3 days. Keep it together.
Man, you better watch your back.
Digging this.
Kyle, did you not get a chance to watch any of the Yellowjackets?
No, this is the Apple Plus, right?
No. Yes, Showtime.
But it is Showtime. Yeah.
So through our Apple, through the Apple Plus.
No, this is one I didn't catch it at the beginning, and I've been listening to you guys talk about it every week. Like, it's probably one I'm going to go back and binge.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. All right, Kyle, it is time for you to take your headphones out.
Ooh, pop these out.
Because we're gonna have dessert, and then
baby
we will.
guys.
We will
You
text
gotta cut
when
me
we're-
some slack.
We'll text
I'm
you when
hanging
we're
in there.
done, so you can jump back on
all right.
to talk about Robin Hood. But it's just we don't want to spoil anything for you.
No, thank you guys. Because I am definitely looking forward to the Afterparty season finale.
All right, taking his headphones out. All right,
All right.
cool. So, are we sure he doesn't have his cell phone in my room and he's not listening to this whole thing?
Yep, he's got a.
He gave him his one shot, but now maybe like I hear you get 2 shots in life.
We sent you that owl. He sent you that
twice.
owl
That one
lamp,
shot
didn't he,
twice.
Randy? Yeah, you got to take your shot twice. Only get one
By
shot.
the way, I was delighted to discover I looked for that song on Amazon Music a couple weeks ago and I couldn't find it because it is not called One Shot Twice. It is called 2 Shots.
2
So
shots.
I found the Afterparty soundtrack, and in fact, all 3 of those songs from that episode are available to listen on Amazon Music and Spotify and all that stuff.
They're all pretty good.
They're all pretty good. And they are that was one of my favorite episodes, which turns out to have all been bullshit.
Yep.
When she said the most unrealistic episode, and I was like, but I don't think it's oh my God, the musical's the most
No,
unrealistic.
because I was like, they said the most cartoonish, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, Zoe's
Yes.
story checks out.
That was such a great fake out though. 'Cause for a
I
second,
can't
was
remember
like,
what it was,
no.
but I was like, Zoe was with 2 people at that time. Like, no, she's eliminated as a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I love that the math checks out. Nick, you said you rewatched.
Every
and
time
the-
they do that with a different phone, they keep, and guys, you don't realize it, but go back and watch it. He shows that phone, those 2 phones, all the time. Like, he's showing you all the time, like the green phone, black phone that he's doing different stuff with. And I was like, fuck, I bet you I did notice this, but thought it was just a production mistake.
You know what's funny is that I feel like this is a Lord and Miller production. Those guys do not mess up shit like that. Like
No.
they are professionals.
Yes, I should have known.
Yeah.
And
They dot their
man,
I's and cross their T's.
This the one thing that was the only thing I was worried about the after party is if they couldn't land it, and they fucking landed.
did it.
Like
I
in the
loved
same way.
this.
They
In the
didn't
same
have to
way,
cheat.
only
You know,
in the same way, Only Murders in the Building was a perfect ending to a good mystery. This is the same thing. It's better, honestly. It's a better ending than the Murders.
I love how excited, I can't remember the little girl's name. I love how excited
Yes.
she is to tell her story. She had the
Yes.
best
Maggie or
night.
something.
Maggie.
Yeah,
So it's
Maggie.
like,
She
"It
had
was
the best night.
ever." Well, to her, it was awesome.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
And Daddy said he would get me snacks, but he didn't.
He didn't. I thought it was really important that he know that. Her interpretation of the party where just puppets are around.
Yes. Oh, it was so great.
Walter is a puppet, or whatever that dude's
Poor
name
Walt.
is. Walt Butler.
Walter.
But you know what? Maggie noticed him, and that
Yes.
she'd be happy about that.
And
Yeah.
remembered his name.
But Tiffany Haddish getting to this. This also the obvious comparison to me is Murders in the Building, but the other comparison is Knives Out. I mean, this is stacked cast, murder mystery, explaining something that happened, and Tiffany Haddish maybe she's not Daniel Craig's Southern boiled detective, but she's so good. She's having so much fun doing her parlor room scene.
Yes.
That she knows, or she knows, like she's got it, but she wants to make sure she gets them to confess.
Well, and I like that she like tests Anik a little bit, and like, well, I was pretty sure it was this, but this makes it, by telling it this way, I can make 100% sure and know a little bit about you.
She's like, yeah, I wanted to make sure that you, I want to see what kind of guy you were.
Mhm.
Well, her partner also like, wrap this up. Come on, let's do
I love it when
Yeah.
he's like, well,
Yep.
tell us, but you already said it was him. Yeah,
Come
he's
on.
fucking great.
Yep.
Him going back in to steal the Xavier trophy thing.
Yes.
Yeah, how much access Jasper had to the place of like, I installed the AV equipment, like
Mhm.
it all really tracks. And yeah, the Anik giving that out of like, no, I saw Brett, and like, but he knows that he's the number one suspect, and if they don't solve this, he's the one that's going to jail. And so I always thought it was like, nah, he was cool of him to really like, he could have let Brett hang out to dry, which since he hated Brett, but he does that thing that I need him to do because he was an asshole in that St. Patrick's Day party. But since he's been listening the whole time, he's like realized like, oh no, wait a minute. You're all just having your own lives. Like, I thought you were all dicks, but you really have your own things going on
Mm-hmm.
and just don't know about each other's bullshit.
Well, they've done a great job throughout this of showing all the characters, even like Zoe's amazing,
Mhm.
but she's also flawed. She's got some serious issues. She married too young. She had a kid too young. Like she's got some fucked up shit. But to some extent, this last episode has to make Anik worthy of her.
Yes.
And I think they did a great job.
Yes.
The two of them work. And you're like, oh, I mean, because that's not just like, if Anik had not stepped up for Brett's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And none of us would have judged him too harshly for that.
Zoe would have, though.
But the fact that he does is like, is that,
it proves why he's better than Brett and why he's better.
It
Yeah.
proves that Anik has grown and changed since like being a dick to Xavier in the front yard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Because in the St. Patrick's Day party, he's always been like, no, some rich guy's always come along and taken my shot. And now he's starting to realize, no, I fucked that up.
Yeah.
I fucked that up. Yeah.
That was me. I was the one that blamed everybody else because I was too chicken shit to do it.
I tell you what else. I was a little worried that they were going to do the thing like Anik and Zoe didn't get together. That they
I was a
too
little
much time
afraid.
had passed, something like that. And I thought they did a great job of teasing it, but giving us ultimately what we all deserve, which is the happy ending for the two of them. And then the bit of Walt being in the car because he's still fucking invisible.
Oh, it's so great.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy from Veep, Dan, who plays Jermaine, he's barely a character. He's only in Tiffany Haddish's episode, but they did such a great job of making him such a hateful prick that they pay off when he shows up and she's like, "No, I already solved it. Get back in your helicopter." That was so
She
satisfying.
barks
Mad
at him.
dog
It's
and it-
great.
Yeah,
Yep.
she gets a whole line of like, "Ha, fuck you."
I mean, this is 8 episodes, and they did more story arc work than some shows do with 3 seasons.
Oh,
and they're,
wow.
they're
every-
short. They're like 30 minutes a pop, right?
They're short. Every character gets an arc. It's funny. It's clever. It plays fair with its audience. Like, this is masterclass level TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like the level of writing of like the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street,
Yeah.
as far as, wow, this is way smarter than I thought it even was.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Lord and Miller turns out to know what they're doing. All right. Well, I guess that wraps it up for us this week, guys. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Randy. Welcome back, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
He doesn't have his headphones back in, but we're going to say thanks
And-
for him.
Until next week.
Two dudes out.
I was waiting on Kyle to say it.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.